What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for The Mandalorian. This is season 2, episode 6, and also called The Tragedy. With me, as always, I have Blue Spade. I was also wondering why it was called The Tragedy, and I guess that it's because of what happens at the end of the episode, I suppose.
But this episode did not disappoint. Yeah. Considering that it was only 30 minutes.
I'm really debating which episode I liked better. Episode 5 was... I still want to say 5 is my favorite, but this one is, really close. I just cannot decide which one I liked better. This one just had so much great action and did not waste, any time. And because that's been some people's main complaints with the show, is that it is very slow-paced at times, but this episode was not that at all. It was just constant, almost constant action. So it didn't really waste any time, with Mando getting sidetracked doing something else.
Yeah.
It got right to the point.
Yeah, and of course this episode is directed by Robert Rodriguez. I'm pretty sure he directed the Spy Kids films, and then did Machete, and also did Alita Battle Angel just recently. So yeah, I thought he did a good job with this episode.
Yeah, Rodriguez is I would say, probably one of my favorite directors. I haven't really been disappointed with any of his movies. So, and he did a fantastic job with this episode.
Anyway, so the episode starts off with Mando and Grogu heading towards Tython, and we get this nice moment, bonding moment between the two, with Mando calling Grogu by his name, and then of course laughing at him when he responds. Then playing around with him by by using the same. What was it? The knob lever ball that that he plays around with. So and it also gives Mando kind of a conflicting moment, thinking that he has to give Grogu away soon instead of having to stick around with him for much longer. So yeah, it did feel I did get that impression when he was talking to him. He was saying stuff well, I guess this is I'm gonna get you back home because Mando has pretty much been a father figure toward Grogu the entire series so far. So I mean, it'd be a shame if Grogu splits from Mando sometime in the show. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long Grogu's gonna stick around for sure. But I mean, we don't know what happens to Grogu in the sequel trilogy. So I guess they'll have to give an explanation as to why he's not around.
Yeah, I mean, that's also considering I really, that's another thing that's kind of I guess you would say sort of a wild card at this point with Mandalorian and some of these other shows, is if they're really going to try to go out of their way to connect to the sequels. I just don't know if they're going to even attempt that. In my opinion, I really don't think they should. I feel like they should kind of just try to be their own thing, because the sequels, regardless of your opinion of them, they have fractured the fan base to a pretty huge extent. So I would personally, I think it'd just be a better idea to try to steer clear and try to do just kind of go their own way. It has pretty much been doing that so far. So I would just kind of stay the course with that.
So,
but yeah, and I was actually surprised at how quickly they ended up getting to Tython, because I heard that apparently it's not. I forget the reasons why, but I did hear somebody say it's not easy to get to the planet, or it could take them a while. But they pretty much got there right in this episode, which I didn't really have a problem with. But we are kind of used to this show sort of having a lot of taking a lot of detours sometimes, and something basically getting in the way of the main objective. So I was a bit surprised that they got there as quickly as they did.
Yeah. So.
But I would definitely say it's a good thing, because that's some of the complaints people have had with the show, is that it feels like they're spending too much time doing side quests and not really getting to the point or whatever. But we didn't really have that problem.
And another thing that I was kind of thinking about since last week was that this Jedi temple was going to hint at something about this about the new High Republic stuff that Disney was planning on, but But it doesn't look like that's the case. Like the temple itself was just like some giant monolith, like in the middle, like of a giant field.
If that's one thing I kind of was a little bit disappointed with this episode, was that it was just something like kind of just a stone encirclement in the middle of a field, and I was expecting maybe like an ancient Jedi temple or something, like something I guess more grandiose. So I guess I was a little bit disappointed with like, oh well, that's it. But I don't know, I guess it's not a big deal. But yeah, like I said, I was kind of just expecting something more. But then again, I guess, like I said before we started recording this, to be fair, we have not seen like what else is on the planet, so maybe there's more to it that we just haven't seen.
They eventually make it towards the monolith, like in the middle of the, I wouldn't say mountain or anything like that. It's just a whole rocky field ish type of area. So they find the monolith, and Mando places Grogu on the center of it, and then he doesn't know what to do initially because he doesn't know how this thing works until all of a sudden Slave One freaking shows up out of nowhere, and that pretty much put a chill down my spine because we know who's flying that ship. And then as soon as that happens, like Grogu immediately starts meditating and puts like this force field around him, which like pretty much bounces Mando back whenever he tries to retrieve him.
Yeah, I will go ahead and say we do not like, and I didn't think we would, but we don't get the whatever Jedi that Grogu was trying to connect with showing up in this episode. I do feel like he's probably going to show up eventually, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised he didn't show up in this one. But I do think like obviously he must have reached out to somebody. So I guess we might see that eventually. So it'd be interesting to see who that could be, because I know there were so many fan theories about what Jedi could he be, like could he end up connecting with, who's going to show up, and people are going crazy with like who could actually show up.
I mean there are plenty of fan theories of who it might be. It's either Ezra Bridger or Cal Kestis, but of course like it's not revealed in time who he's communicating with, because Boba Fett arrives and then he confronts Mando that he wants his armor back, and then this also created a lot of like theories as to what Boba Fett and Jango Fett were like before, whether or not they were Mandalorians or not. And like for me, like Boba Fett's not technically a Mandalorian because he wasn't born into the Creed, but that left me questions like what of what Jango Fett was ever since Disney rebooted the whole Star Wars canon. Yeah, so of course, like Mando starts questioning like Boba Fett about whether he's part of the Mandalorian Creed, and Boba responds like with the same line that Jango Fett used in Attack of the Clones, saying that he's just a simple man making his way around the galaxy.
Yeah, I thought that was. I actually didn't even know that because it's been so long since I've seen Attack of the Clones. But that's interesting.
Yeah, and then of course, the confrontation gets a little bit heated, and then we find out that Fennec Shand is also arrived with Boba Fett, and we find out that it's pretty much confirmed that Fennec was retrieved by Boba Fett. I think it was episode 5. I can't remember. It was episode 4 or 5.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like people thought at the end of that episode that it was because some people thought it could be Boba Fett because of the spurs, but some people also thought it also could be Gideon. We never really got a definitive answer, but yeah, in this episode, it's pretty much confirmed it's actually Boba Fett who saved her. So then of
course we find out that she had her internal organs in her abdomen replaced by cybernetics, which I thought it was a little bit silly at first. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's kind of overkill having to replace like her entire organs with cybernetics like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would question how exactly that's supposed to work, but I don't know. I guess technically she's kind of a cyborg because she has like her like cybernetics integrated within her body. But I don't know how those cybernetics are like working with her other internal organs.
But of course, silly. Like following their conversation, like the Empire arrives to try to apprehend Grogu, and then this pretty much leads into like a fairly extended action scene for the remainder of the episode with Fennec, Fett, and Mando fighting off the Empire. But of course, like Mando was trying to retrieve Grogu, but he tries to go through the force field again, and then it knocks him out for a good while.
Yeah, the fight scene with the stormtroopers is pretty damn good. Like I really enjoyed a lot of it, especially the scenes where Boba Fett, even before he gets his armor back, is just kind of using, I don't know what you call that weapon, but he has this weapon on his.
It's called a gaffy stick.
He basically beats the hell out of these stormtroopers with it, and he smashes their helmets and like stabs them with it. It's pretty savage. And then what was her name, Fennec or what? She's pretty much like just a crack shot, and she just shoots, like she manages to take out a lot of these stormtroopers. And at one point they bring out like a Gatling, or like a Gatling gun, minigun. And she is hiding behind like a rock, and she pushes the rock down, and it ends up destroying the gun along with the stormtroopers. So that was and then of course, while this is happening, Boba at one point sees the where his armor is, and then it cuts away back to I think it's Fennec, and then you eventually of course see Boba show up again. But this time, of course, before he even shows up, he throws I think it's a thermal detonator or something. Yeah, he throws a thermal detonator down, and then you see him in his armor, and he just starts kicking ass. He just starts using all of the weaponry at his disposal to take out the rest of the stormtroopers. And apparently, he's got like some like rockets in his legs or something. And he
a knee rocket shooter or something like that.
Yeah, and then even he, when they retreat back into the troop transports and they're about to leave, like he ends up using the rocket on his back to blow up their ships. So that was just a really great.
Like if this was like the one time that they actually redeemed Boba Fett, this is the one.
Yeah, because people like in the fandom obviously like are really like praised Boba Fett. They loved his character. Like I think it was really like when after Empire Strikes Back came out, when like the fandom back then, they were really hyping up Boba Fett. And I think the reason Boba died in such a stupid way in Return of the Jedi, at least it's a rumor, I don't know if it's true, but Lucas apparently did not intend Boba to be such a big character. So that's why he killed him off in the way he did in Return of the Jedi, apparently. But of course, if you read any of the expanded universe material, then Boba Fett survived his the Sarlacc pit, and as of course Mandalorian pretty much confirms he did survive. And it also kind of it proves how much he is a badass, and he's able to he basically lives up to the hype, I guess you would say, the fans have had for him over the years. Which I think is good. And I mean, of course, as we know, he's getting his own series too, so interested to see what's going to happen with that. But yeah, that was like that was, I would say, my favorite moment in this episode, and it takes up the majority of the episode, of course. And then I think
soon after
I think Mando.
Well, no. He was already up, fighting alongside Fennec and Boba, fighting off the troopers. Then, as soon as they drive the troopers away, I think Gideon's Star Destroyer cruiser destroys the Razor Crest, which took me by surprise that they would do something like that.
I mean, it makes sense because that way Mando can't follow.
I mean, like that the Razor Crest is people love the Razor Crest, and I mean they considered that like.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about within the universe, within the show, it makes sense why he would destroy his Razor Crest. It's like if you don't want Din Djarin following you and trying to trying to potentially kill you or retrieve
but
the child.
Of course they didn't account for Boba Fett arriving alongside with him. No. While Mando was running back to get Grogu again, what was it? Gideon dispatches the Dark Troopers to go capture him. Yeah.
Oh my god, this is my second favorite part of the episode. Like, 'cause I was so ready for the Dark Troopers to actually do something, but unfortunately, I guess I was a little bit disappointed because all they really end up doing is retrieving the child. But it would, like, their entrance was so cool because they just, they all just like come down from the ship, and the way they look in this show is so awesome. Like, it looks pretty accurate to how they looked in Dark Forces. But kind of updated. Like,
I mean,
updated look, I guess.
I mean, I also figured they were going to be CG eventually because.
Yeah. But it didn't look bad, so I didn't really have so much of a problem with that. But yeah, of course, they all go down to retrieve the child, and I was actually surprised that they actually managed to kidnap him. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised because I did think it was going to happen eventually, but yeah, they actually end up kidnapping the child, and basically, Boba Fett ends up like just kind of, I guess, putting like
no,
does he put a tracker
I don't think he did, because if he did, they would immediately go after the Empire, but unfortunately, like, that doesn't happen. So the Empire manages to get away after that, and Mando is just looking around the Razor Crest wreckage, and then he of course finds like the little like knob that Grogu plays around with, and he also recovers the Beskar spear that he got from the last episode, which of course it makes sense because Beskar is like the strongest material in the Star Wars universe. So like it's obvious that he's going to be using that against Gideon once he uses the Darksaber. And so we do get confirmation that that Boba and Fennec are going to stick around to help Mando retrieve the child from the Empire. And then
well, we also get, like, because you mentioned at the beginning of the episode, like, we didn't really know like what Boba technically was or something, because he actually explains it in this episode that he's him and his father are like foundlings. So basically, I guess kind of like what Mando was, or Din Djarin. He was that he wasn't really like born into the Mandalorians. He was like he was a child that like they saved, and he became a Mandalorian.
And then of course, I mean, technically, I still don't technically think Boba Fett is a Mandalorian because he inherited the armor from he's
a bounty hunter. He's like, he just wears the armor.
But it does confirm like that Jango was a foundling of the Mandalorian Creed, and he fought in the Mandalorian Civil War, which I found interesting because like just on Twitter just a little while ago, I noticed that they were doing some hirings, planning on making like a Mandalorian prequel series or something like that.
Yeah. So do you think that could potentially be about Jango Fett?
It's possible. I mean, they could bring Tamora Morrison back to play as Jango Fett and explain like what he did like back in the Mandalorian Civil War, if that's possible. I mean, that'd be an interesting story. But yeah, so they agree to work with each other to help retrieve the child. And the first place they go back to is, of course, back to Navarro, where Mando once again asks Cara Dune for her help, and he finds out that Cara Dune has rejoined the New Republic again.
I was actually a little bit surprised by this because I thought it was this was something that she was going to kind of like that she was going to be conflicted by, like, if she should rejoin or not. But she ends up rejoining off screen, I guess.
Because of this, like, Mando asks her to look into the New Republic database to look for a prisoner that Mando ended up sending to prison in the first place, which is, of course, Mayfield. For those that don't know, he's played by Bill Burr, who played the character in episode 6 of the first season. And of course, Mando needs his help to help find the Gideon's cruiser somewhere out in the galaxy. And this puts Cara in a really tight position, because now that she's a part of the New Republic, like, she has to follow like a lot of rules and regulations again. because of it. So
yeah.
So I mean, like, I mean, even like if Mando tells her that that Grogu has been taken, and this will probably convince her to help him out. But I don't know to what extent and how much Cara Dune is going to end up helping Mando because she's a part of the New Republic, or if she will even like take part in trying to help break Mayfield out of prison.
Yeah, so I guess we can assume that we might get another Prison Break episode in the next episode, maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not the whole episode, though. Because, like, I mean, I didn't mind that episode in the first season, but I'm kind of hoping we don't get like, a repeat of it or something.
I mean, we have at least 2 more episodes left, so it does make sense in a way, dude. Yeah. Like,
and I mean, also considering we have 2 more episodes left, we should be getting closer to sort of like a climax or something. So maybe they won't spend too much time trying to do that, until they end up facing Gideon.
Speaking of Gideon, we the final scene of the episode, which is of course like Gideon coming to confront the child, and of course we see like Grogu using his force powers to pretty much throw around the stormtroopers, like looking after him.
Yeah, it seems like he can use it more efficiently now or something, but he still has the like whenever he uses it,
it pretty much weakens him to the point every time he overuses it. I mean, it makes sense due to his age, or based on his young age, I guess. But we see Gideon like pretty much, I guess, taunting the child, and then he shows off the Darksaber for the first time in the show. Oh, not the first time in the show, first time in the season.
Well, this is something I didn't really pick up on either, and somebody like mentioned this when they were doing their review of the show, that it seemed like the way that Gideon was talking to the child, it seemed like they had some kind of history, which would kind of make sense because of course Gideon's the one that wanted the child in the first place. So maybe there's some stuff we just don't really know about between them.
Yeah,
and maybe we'll find out later. But yeah, I did kind of notice, the way he was talking to Grogu, it seemed like he already had some experience with, because he seemed knowledgeable about, how Grogu's power, like his force powers worked, and some other stuff about him.
I mean,
so it would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like Gideon was like a member of the ISB, which is the Imperial Intelligence Bureau. So he's knowledgeable on like a lot of stuff, which is why he knew who Din Djarin was back in the end of season 1, and he knew who Cara Dune and Grief Karga was during their showdown back in the end of season 1. So it makes sense that he knows much about what Grogu is and what the Jedi are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but of course, like you said, Gideon shows him the Darksaber, and then Grogu ends up.
I mean, what do you think about the Darksaber, by the way? About how it looks?
It looks cool. I mean, the only other instance I've seen it, is in of course, in the Rebels, and then the very end, of course, in the first season of Mandalorian. But I guess we see it more up close here, and I mean, it looks good. It looks fine. It's an interesting, like, I didn't really know anything about the Darksaber until, like, I saw it, of course, at the end of the first season of Mandalorian. But it's an interesting idea that, the Mandalorians, like, have their own, I guess you could say, like, their own version of a lightsaber.
Yeah, I mean, it's Darksaber. Yeah, because, like,
I seriously, like, this is my theory too, is that I do expect at some point that Din Djarin will probably get his hands on a Darksaber. Maybe, even when he had, he potentially ends up fighting Moff Gideon, he might end up getting maybe a Darksaber.
I mean, technically that Darksaber belongs to Bo-Katan. So, I mean, maybe it's possible that, like, Mando might go out and get Bo-Katan's help to help retrieve, like, Grogu, and maybe get the Darksaber if, because she's the only one aware of its existence.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's pretty much where the episode ends. Like, it's this is definitely, like, with as with the last episode, like, one of the best episodes this season for sure. I kind of hope that the last 2 episodes are just as good, if not better, to be honest. I really want to see like the Dark Troopers actually fighting, though, at least, as we get to the end of the season, because those I was a little bit disappointed we actually didn't really get to see any of that in this episode. So kind of hoping in the next couple episodes
I
we actually get
mean,
to see it.
Personally, I have more high expectations with the last episode instead of the next episode, because as we all know, because they're gonna go after to break out Mayfield, and we don't know like how the prison breakout is gonna work, because we saw like the same type of prison breakout episode back in season 1. So I don't know if it's gonna be the exact same thing, but it's like it'll be similar to some aspects. But I feel like, I feel like the next episode is just mostly going to be focused on getting Mayfield out in order for them to help find Gideon's cruiser, and then of course like the finale episode is just going to be focused with them retrieving Grogu from Gideon.
I don't really have that much else to say. Like, it was just I don't really have that many complaints about it either. It was a great episode, and the action was definitely the action scenes with Boba Fett were like the best part of it. And I'm glad we actually have Boba Fett now, like taking part in the series. We get to see Boba Fett on screen again, so that's great. Of course, people were I'm sure people were kind of annoyed after they saw him at the end of the first episode, and they were getting impatient to like where'd Boba Fett go. So fortunately, he does, of course, show up again in this episode. I was expecting him to show up.
I mean, I've been hearing some complaints of why it took Boba Fett so long to track Mando, for that long. But I can probably assume that it would have taken like Boba Fett some time.
I'm guessing it's just because Mando had a pretty good head start on Boba Fett, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there could be the issue with how Boba Fett got his ship back, because we don't know if he ended up losing that ship in the first place after Return of the Jedi, and maybe it took some time for him to get it back.
That's probably what the Boba Fett show is going to be for, is to fill in the gaps. But yeah, because there is quite a bit we don't really know about what happened with him in between the time of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I mean, it was I think this was one of the best episodes of the season so far, the overall action sequences, the pretty much all the fan servicey stuff that they put out in this episode in particular, bringing Boba Fett back in full force again.
Yeah, Boba Fett, and of course the actually us getting to see the Dark Troopers do something. I'm hoping we get to see more of that either in the next episode or in the last episode, though. Definitely in the last episode, if they don't do anything with the Dark Troopers, I will be kind of shocked. But so I actually hope we get to see that, because that's something I was genuinely shocked by when they revealed that the Dark Troopers were.
I mean, I have to wonder if they're going to hint at something big coming maybe in the 3rd season of The Mandalorian.
With hinting at something big, I guess it just depends also if Gideon is still going to be around, or if he's going to be they're actually going to maybe defeat Gideon in this season, or if he's going to get away again. I wonder if either way, I wonder if they're going to hint at potentially Thrawn or something, because I mean they already of course referenced Thrawn. So, I mean, I expect them to, maybe have either, I don't know, maybe even have Thrawn show up and tease him, or just reference him again. So, I expect that in terms of maybe something big, and we maybe get an idea of what what they're really trying to do, because I think that's going to be the big thing we get left off with at the end of this season, maybe, is what their plan is. And especially what their plan is with
because I have a feeling that some people have been speculating this has something to do with what's related to the Rise of Skywalker or Snoke in particular. I don't know.
Yeah, because and they're all basing it off of the thing in the tank, which we don't really get a good look at the thing in the tank, and it didn't really look that similar to Snoke to me. I mean, of course, people could maybe argue, oh, well, maybe it was an early version of a Snoke clone or something, but I don't know. It could be anything. I don't know if that necessarily means it was Snoke. So I don't know if I jump to conclusions with that. It could be pretty much, like I said, it could be anything. I guess we'll just have to wait to see what exactly it is they're trying to do. And that would probably give us a hint one way or another if it's actually going to try to connect.
And there's another thing about what Moff Gideon's like motivations are, because honestly, I don't think he's doing it on his own merits. I think he's working with someone, which it's either most likely Thrawn or Palpatine behind the scenes.
I could also make another... Well, speaking of what's in the tank, too, and I don't think anybody's brought this up, but I can make another theory of what might be in the tank. Because apparently, like, Disney has their own version of these things in canon, but it could have been a Yuuzhan Vong. And if you know anything about Thrawn, like, Thrawn, the reason he was trying to build up the Empire, I think, in, like, the EU, was because to prepare for the threat of the Yuuzhan Vong. So if Thrawn is connected to this, maybe he's studying the Yuuzhan Vong, and he had a Yuuzhan Vong, and that was what could have been in the tank. Well, that's just me, like, throwing out a wild theory, though, but I mean, that... If like I'm just saying, if Thrawn is involved, I think that's likely.
I mean, it'd be great. It'd be great if like they bring in the Yuuzhan Vong storyline.
The Yuuzhan Vong is like a huge missed opportunity, in my opinion, that Disney really hasn't done anything with, and I really feel like they should, because from what I've read about them in the expanded universe, like they would be a really huge threat if they came in.
So bad to the point where the New Republic and the Galactic Empire ended up working together to take them down.
Yeah, and so that would be huge. But that's just a theory of mine. I really think that would be better than them trying to say, well, it was a Snoke clone or something. But yeah, in regards to the episode, I don't really have much else to say about it. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I think this is this is like one of the best episodes so far. Hopefully, the next episode is like pretty good. I'm not expecting the next episode to, to follow what was great about this episode. I do expect like the final episode to be, even better or as great as this one.
Yeah, I'm expecting definitely a lot of either Easter eggs or reveals, some big reveals for sure. I think.
Yeah.
In the final episode. Maybe we'll finally get, if not a reveal as to what their plans are with Grogu, maybe some kind of a hint or something. I'm really hoping they end it on a big note, like I said, and have like either reveal Thrawn or reference him again. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say. I thought this was one of the best episodes so far. But yeah, I'm really excited for the next episode. Like I said, I hope they don't spend the whole time on doing the prison break thing, and it's like maybe a smaller part of the episode, and it focuses on some other things. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But that all being said, of course, until next